In this lesson, I'm going to go over changing the settings of your particular courses and be able to understand really what's happening within your course. So I'm going to go down to an example of one of my courses. And when I'm here, again, I'm in a topic layout, meaning that I have all these various topics, and I have up to 10 topics in this course. And each topic has its own set of information and different assignments and activities and so forth. The way I get to set how many different topics are going to be within my course is over here there's a settings button. If I go into that, it pulls up some different features that I can start to change. Up here, the full name, short name, and course ID number can only be changed by the Moodle administrator. So these you cannot change, but you can change the summary. And the summary just would only show up if somebody did a full search of our courses, but otherwise the way Moodle is set up, we don't really see these different summaries. The format by default is always topic format. You can change it to a weekly format, but topic format fits most teachers the best. And then you set how many different topics you want, and you can change this at any time. By default, it starts with 10, but you could change it all the way up to 52 for the 52 weeks in the year. But you could have as few as 1. It's really totally up to you. Again, you can change this on the fly. The course start date doesn't matter because we're not worried about a timeline, but if you are going to use the weekly format, you should have an actual start date so that way your weeks can actually line up with the calendar. Hidden sections are shown in collapsed form. It just means that we can either hide those sections completely from both ourselves and the students, or we can just have them collapse so that we know that they're there, but you just can't see what's inside them. And again, by default, it's set as shown in collapse, and that's totally an aesthetic option. News items to show. So if I hit help with news items, we can see that news items are simply just when we post a different notice. And so when we post notices, which again we'll learn about a little bit more in depth later, you can list how many different notices will actually show up. The gradebook to students, again, this is so the students can see the grades. By default, this is yes. There's very few times where maybe you would not want your students to see the gradebook, but by default, this should be left on. Activity reports, you want to be able to have that as well. And maximum upload size. By default, our server allows for 200 megabytes. That's a pretty good size file. I would just leave it as it is. That way, if you have any large files or if students have a large file that they're turning into you, you'll have no problems uploading it. All of these different things, enrollment, enrollment expiry, groups, availability, language, role renaming, none of that stuff is needed to be changed by any teachers. By default, there are all these other systems that handle enrollment and availability, and so none of this stuff needs to be changed. If I do make a change to the number of topics, so let's say I now need 12 topics from my 10, I just go down and I hit save. And now when I scroll down to the bottom, I see my 2 extra topics. When I want to edit a topic, we're going to turn editing on. And now I can both edit this description right here by hitting the little hand button which says edit summary, or I can add either resources or activities depending on what I need to fill into my class. If I go down to the bottom, I can also move these courses. If I want these topics now to go to a different location, I can say I want it to move up, and now it's moved up 1, or I can move it down. On some people's browsers, instead of these arrows here for moving a topic, you may have a little kind of cross symbol here where you can drag that box and literally drag the box up and down and place it where you want it to go. So just be aware of in your browser you may have a block here that you can pull up and down, or you use these arrows here. These blocks here that are grayed out are hidden from my students, and that's because you can see the eye is closed. If I were to open that eye, you see it's no longer grayed out, and now the students will be able to see it. So I can just, again, I'll hide that again, and now they can't see it. So if I turn on student view, now they can't see it. They know that something's there, but it just says it's not available right now. So the topics will be coming up, they just can't see them as it is. That is the basics of setting up your course. Make sure to check out the videos on uploading materials and adding activities to really round out your Moodle course. Thanks.